Would folk, my name is the Metagoblin, and today I'm going to be going through 10 very useful things you should know before you do any kind of replay of Skyrim, obviously with the new Skyrim Special Edition. This video will be kind of like a combination of useful information and tips to improve your gameplay and basically your general quality of life while playing the game. So if you haven't played Skyrim before, or it's been quite a while and you feel like you've kind of forgotten the things, then this video will be incredibly useful for you. And lastly, just remember to check out the video link in the description for more Skyrim guides, just at the end of the video. But anyway, let's jump in. So the first very useful thing I think is going to be very beneficial for you to know is the simple fact that the races in Skyrim will have starting stats. They have kind of different stats and certain passive buffs and special powers. Like for instance, like an orc is going to start with like 25 heavy armor skill, which is pretty useful, for getting some of those really useful beneficial perks very early in your game. One of my favourites is basically the Breton. If you're making a kind of like tank character, you get like a 25% resistance to magic, and you can stack that with other things like the Lord Standing Stone for like passive like 75% resistance to magic, then stack that with some enchants, and then you got 100% resistance to magic, which is overpowered as hell. For the mage, if you're making any kind of mage build, any kind of magic build, I definitely recommend going for high elf because you get like a 50 bonus points to magicka. So yeah, anyway, you should look up all the starting stats and abilities, passive abilities, and choose the best one for you because it's going to give you that kind of like a little bit of a head start. I will be referring to like a lot of things in this video. If you're, they might be featured in the video in the background footage, but if you're looking for a good place to get information, go on the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. I'll leave a link for that in the description. It's a great page. You can just find out all the information that we'll probably talk about in this video. And for as far as this tip goes, obviously if you care more about the look of your race, then I'm not saying go for a certain race, I'm saying that you have to, because leveling at the end of the day, when you're low level, it's very quick. The leveling is very quick. It's not going to be that much of a difference, but at the end of the day, you never look at your character. Sometimes I forget what race I am because I'm just wearing like heavy armor. I don't even know what race I am. So yeah, just a last little note. For number 2, let's talk about experience. I think it is very important to be aware of certain experience buffs that are available to you early in the game because you level very quickly early in the game, and it is important to get your stats high and get those perks if you're going to do any kind of like serious legendary difficulty kind of playthrough. There are certain XP buffs that you can basically stack. If you buy the Skyrim Special Edition, you're automatically going to have the Dawnguard DLC, which means you'll be able to do the quest for the Ethereal Crown. Basically, you do this quest, going through this Dwemer dungeon, you go to this forge. At the end of that quest, do not get the shield, get the crown. Okay, because the crown will give you basically the ability to have 2 standing stones at once. So you can stack the Lover Stone, which is a 15% bonus to experience in all skills, and then you can stack that with the Thief, the Warrior Stone, or the Mage Stone, which is going to be pretty nice. Another thing you want to do is get married for an extra 5% to your sleep XP. You get about 10% for sleeping normally in your own home, and then you get an extra 5% if you're asleep with your lover, so be sure to do that to give that extra sneaky 5%. It's also better if you have to own your own house to get that extra buff, and obviously to even get married in the first place. So make sure you get a spouse that has like or a double bed, an actual big house. You can look up that on the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. You can look up all the spouses in the game and all their benefits and what they have and what they basically bring to the table. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get the Lover Stone as the stone that your crown stores. So put the crown on, you go to the Lover Stone, and it will store that one. And then what you want to do is then get your warrior, your thief, or whatever, even if you want to get a different stone. And what you're going to do, because you can't stack it, when you have a lover's bonus, you can't get the resting bonus. But if you store it in the crown, right, you take the crown off, you take your Lover Stone off, and then you go to bed, right, with your wife, and then you're going to get the XP buff from the rested XP buff. You're going to get that buff, and then if you put the crown back on after you've got that buff, then it will all stack, and then you get like an extra juicy 50% XP buff, which is going to be absolutely mental for you starting your game. Anyway, and yeah, that's all I can recommend about XP. So get those XP buffs, they're very good. They're very good indeed. For number 3, it's another thing we're going to talk about starting the game very nicely. You can start the game with a 2-handed ebony weapon or a bow, basically at level 1. What you're going to do is you're going to go through this cave on the map here called, and there's this little dungeon called the Lost Valkig, you know, it's like old bloody Norse, so I can't pronounce that stuff. Basically going to progress through that dungeon, and they drop from the 2 bosses, you know, 2 like Drugger Death Lords. They will be pretty hard to defeat, you know, at the end of a dungeon. So, you know, prepare to like save your game, save like kind of like those race powers or anything special that you have, maybe scrolls that you found on the way, save that for the end of a dungeon, because it will be quite difficult. Now I'm going to give you a very useful sneaking tip. You may have been in that situation where you cannot go up to someone to do a sneak kill, you know, in melee range, because that person is basically staring right at you, so no matter how slow you are, how sneaky you are, they're always going to see you. Basically, with this shout, it is called Throw Voice. Yeah, it's called Throw Voice. With this shout, you can basically dictate and manipulate people into moving around, because you kind of like aim it anywhere, like in a room, and then it will kind of like, the game will act like that some kind of voice is spawned from where you've thrown the voice, so people will be like, oh, what's that? And then they'll walk around to try and find the source of the voice, but obviously there's actually no voice there, and then you can just kind of creep up behind them and kill them. Where you want to go is Sheer Point to get a shout. There is also a Dragon Priest, which is pretty difficult to defeat for any like a level 1, so you might want to tune up a bit before you do that. And it will give the Dragon Priest will actually give you a pretty sweet helmet with a boost to like archery, lockpicking, and alchemy, so that's also a good thing to pick up as well. The Throw Voice, I think, it's a shout where you don't have to unlock all of them at once. I think you basically get all 3 of the things, you know, all in one, so you don't have to get like 3 Dragon Souls and 3 different places. They're all basically at Sheer Point, all of them. So yeah, it's basically just one shout, it's not like a 3-part shout. Oh, while we're talking about thief characters and stealing and stuff, I have a very cool stealing trick for you, especially if you're in the Thieves Guild and you want to make some money. What you can basically, if you put a basket on somebody's head, then the game kind of acts like that they can't see anything, like there's like a physical block. It's almost like there's a wall in front of them. So you can put a basket on someone's head and then just steal everything in their shop, and then you just fence it all to the Thieves Guild. So that is a really cool way to make money, just a little quick tip. For number 6, I have another fast one. There is a very fast way to mine ores. Basically, whenever you're going to mine, you know, whether you're mining stone for your house, whether you're mining for materials for your crafting to get your, save a bit of money and get your smithing skill up, instead of like pressing E or A or whatever the key is on the button is, to like do that manual mining animation, which is really slow and boring, all you have to do is equip the mining pick and whack that mining pick at the stone, at the ore, whatever you're trying to mine, and it will basically just mine it for you if you just manually attack it. And it will also mine it even faster if you get basically any like dual wield, or any of those dual wield perks, which increases your attack speed. And even with Elemental Fury, basically the faster you attack, the faster you will mine also. It's a great way, you know, if you got if you're building a house and you got that place where you mine stone, to get like loads of stone and then just put it away in that chest. And yeah, now I may have been in a situation where you're trying to hunt down wildlife and it is fairly difficult, because obviously they run away, and sometimes they run away too far and you can't really catch up because your stamina is too low. Fair enough. But there is a really great way with basically make wildlife either like, if you use a frenzy spell on wildlife, the wildlife will try and attack you, it won't do any damage and it'll be completely hopeless, but it is kind of funny. And then you can also use a calm spell to make them like stop attacking at all and just like kind of walk around. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using those illusion spells to capture wildlife. You don't need to have any illusion skill, you can cast them like at level, you know, of a novice skill, so you don't need to grind up your illusion or anything, but it is a good way to actually grind up your illusion and kind of increase that stat and get your levels up, because when you use an illusion spell on anyone and keep using it, you don't actually have to be in combat for the skill to increase, which is another cool thing. And obviously killing you know, deer and rabbit and stuff, and kind of like getting the fur and then getting it to the tanning rack. Yeah, if you get the fur to the tanning rack, you can make leather out of that, and then leather strips, and that is a great way to like increase your smithing skill very quickly, basically by going hunting wildlife and making leather stuff. So yeah, it's another great way to power level your smithing. Now let's talk about encumbrance. It's kind of an annoying thing, but there are ways to deal with it. You know, if you have too much stuff on you, then a good trick is basically just dump all of your crap on your follower and just let them carry it around, because they have like an infinite amount of stuff that they can carry, at least I think so anyway. There might be a little bit of a limit, but you know, you got some heavy stuff which is pretty expensive, like an enchanted big two-handed battle axe which you want to take to a shop vendor and sell, and just give it to your follower. Another good way, if you don't have a follower, is to basically put the loot into a skeleton corpse, right, and then just kind of like bash the skeleton around a bit until there's like one little bone on its own, and then you can literally just carry around that little single bone with you, and it will act like it's the entire corpse. And so basically you've got like a big two-handed battle axe stored in that little bone, because you know that's just the logic of the game. And then you can just carry that around with you if you know just about to walk out of a dungeon, and carry it to your horse, which leads me on to my next tip. Number 9 is that even if you're over-encumbered, basically, if you jump on a horse, you can still fast travel on the horse. So you can just fast travel on the horse, maybe to one of those Khajiit caravans outside, so you don't have that far to walk to like sell some stuff. And then, or you can just get to a town where you can just get into that town, maybe a Falkreath, because you can just ride right into town and then get to that blacksmith outside. You don't have very far to walk, or even Rorikstead to sell your stuff. So yeah, that's just like a little quick tip. Now the last one is about quests. You may find that a few quests may bug in the game, because, well, they just do, and this remaster for some reason isn't going to fix that. So if you find quests that like bug out a bit, go onto the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages to look up if there's a way to force the quest to be fixed. You know, sometimes you can just jumble around and force certain scripts to happen in the background. That's how, you know, video games work. You can like force scripts to work, to happen, even though they haven't properly, you know, worked. Like for instance, sometimes when you if there's like a non-killable NPC, sometimes killing them and kind of like resets them. Right, resets the scripts in them and kind of fixes it, like, so hopefully anyway. Or like going in and out of locations, reloading, quick saving and reloading, doing a wait. Sometimes stuff like that will fix quests. But there will also be guides on those pages if you look up the quest. Basically, you go down, there's little notes about how you may be able to fix the quest normally, but sometimes you may have to open the console and force them to fix themselves. To skip stages and stuff like that, which is kind of annoying. You could get the unofficial Skyrim patch, but personally I have found that when I install that patch, that based on the mod, it makes my game really unstable and I can't load as many other mods, so I just tend to avoid it and just kind of take my chances. But anyway, I think I'm going to end the video there. That's all I wanted to say. I might make another video because there's probably quite a lot of other things I can, another 10 little tips I can come up with for improving your gameplay in Skyrim, little tips to make, useful things I can chatting shit right now, because I've literally run out of stuff to say and I'm not reading from a script anymore. But anyway, my name is the Metagoblin. Until my next video, ciao.